What are the Brazilian guys gonna say? Brazil mentioned you're destroying Neovim. I want to know what you think about this tmux.
Man, this has been actually funny because you're doing the right question in the right time.
Me as a terminal user, yep, I don't care, but I do understand the pain that terminal maintainers go through with tmux. I just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
It's helpful. It helps you see where you're at, right? At least to me, it helps me see.
It's a cosmetic, man. Let's not lie here. Like it just makes everything feel better. Let's put that way. I think that this is like a big mistake of Neovim in general. Like people don't really care. They don't really want to spend, like polishing, like too much stuff. It's like it's a non-ending cycle. Like you just keep finding new stuff. And they develop this mentality that where you actually start to think about plugins all the time and, seek for plugins. I don't want to be the guy that criticizes that.
But you did.
Because, no, I did. And I will keep doing it. But it's like, maybe I have something against VS Code. I don't know. But it's like, no, I think VS Code comes from
You're ashamed? You're ashamed that people see you using VS Code. Is that it? If you're listening to this as a podcast, remember that it was originally recorded as a video. If you're not following along, you can go to my YouTube channel. My username is Linkarzu. And if you want to support me to keep this podcast going, you can donate in Ko-fi. I'm going to leave a link in the description. All right, so let's get started with this chapter then. What do we have today? We have Rapha here with us. He's the creator of the Rio Terminal. How's it going, Rapha?
Good. Excited to be here.
Okay. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing with us about Rio. You mind just letting us know what Rio is? I tried it a few days ago, but a few months ago. We talked in Twitter. Not sure if you remember.
I remember, yeah.
Yeah? So
I do remember.
You want to share about Rio? What is it?
Yeah, Rio is like a terminal emulator. It's like Kitty and Ghostty and Alacritty. Actually, Rio is like built from a lot of stuff from Alacritty, like originally. And there's so many actually terminal emulators everywhere, right? Like it's hard to. It's like a browser. It's like everyone loves one. And I think that this is a very exciting thing about emulators in general, because like you can choose the one that you feel that you are more attached or like like connected to it. I don't know, like kind of like it's like browsers. Like I choose like my browser because like I have this memory attachment from my past. So it's like. But in the same way, like it is supposed to be a terminal emulator at the end of the day with like the basic like emulator like functionalities.
Okay, so it's just it is a terminal emulator then. And why the name Rio?
Man, this is actually a funny question because like I was thinking about this these days. Like people often they associate with Rio from my city, like Rio de Janeiro, and kind of is kind of like the story is almost there, but actually has a bit more. I was going to marry or was going to fly to Brazil like in the time, but I could not go due to like some immigration stuff. I was waiting for my visa to go out. And then back in time, the emulator had another name, was like Ox. But Ox is like a reserved word. And like, so I was just like, yeah, I need to rename this. And I thought I put Rio actually as a placeholder because we could not buy tickets to Rio. Like I literally could not buy tickets to Rio to fly. And I thought like, okay, we'll just put this as a joke. And then it remained there like I never really changed it back to any other thing. Like, so I wanted to do the things that Ghostty and Alacritty does, the TTY. I thought that was actually cool to do, but I kind of got attached after while, like if you work for a few months with that name, which is like you don't see that thing with a different name, right? Like and then end up being that way.
Rio. So it's
Yeah.
related to Brazil then, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's from my hometown, yeah.
Oh,
Rio de Janeiro.
Brazil mentioned, like the prime minister
Yeah,
would say.
exactly. With the flag. Yeah, he went there in I think he went for São Paulo. A few friends of mine met him. It was very nice. Like that he went there.
Oh yeah, I did see that. It was a torso convention or something. I don't remember what it was. Right?
Yeah, I think actually they made. I don't know the whole story, so could be actually not being like someone could correct me later. But I thought that they actually built the whole thing for him. You know, like was the whole conference like just about him or something like that. I don't know the whole story, but I thought it was that.
Oh, okay, okay. And Lua, what language is it written in? I'm sorry, Lua.
It,
Rio.
yeah, Louis from like
Brazil
actually,
mentioned again.
yeah, and Neovim as well, Neovim and HTOP. Like I joke with like a few people from Charm that if you use terminals, it's very likely that you use like a Brazilian like stack.
Yeah.
Because like yeah, Neovim start from like few Brazilians as well, but it's built in Rust and yeah, like I think everyone has opinions about Rust, like positively or negatively.
Oh, and why did you choose Rust? Is it because of performance reasons or?
Yeah, I always liked Rust. I think I had been ever. People say that they're Google fanboy, Apple fanboy. I think I always has been a Mozilla fanboy, like since I started my career. Like I used Firefox because I like it then. So when they started a new language, I thought like, oh, one day I'm gonna give it a try. And I like it the fact that they did a lot of things open. And I don't know how it is now. Like it's not like I have been following them that much like now, but like when they started developing Rust, I was following Rust very close, but I never used it because I was working with other languages like Python, JavaScript, Ruby, and like in my life came opportunity to work with Rust in the work. So I thought like, well, let's just write real projects in Rust, like in my free time to learn the language. So I started to write in the Game Boy emulator. They also runs in the terminal. And after the Game Boy, I thought like, okay, I kind of had a taste of like, like you learn about registers and like how the things work, and the CPU, the memory, the GPU, and then you just like, man, I actually want to keep going on that way. And then I wanted to do something that used GPU, but was not just GPU based. And I kind of clicked it when I was using Kitty because I was just like, oh, I could do something like that. So I started to work on here because of that.
Okay. So Rust started it. You were using Kitty at that time when you decided to start with
Man,
Rio.
I actually use it all the terminals. I'd say like it's true. Like I use it a bit of everything. Like it's kind of like I was joking with you before we recorded that you have Ghosty and Kitty as well, right?
Yep.
But I can relate. I actually have all the terminals installed, the mainstream, and I mean I work for Charm, so it's like it's also I need to test things in different terminals. But before I work for them, I had all the terminals. I think that is like they're a fantastic like piece of software, to be honest. Like it's almost like Pokemon. You need to catch them all.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I started with iTerm. I don't have iTerm installed anymore, but then I moved to
Yeah.
Alacritty. I don't have Alacritty installed anymore, but I have now Ghosty, Kitty, WezTerm, Rio. I have it installed as well. What else? I
Real
don't know.
mention.
Yeah, Brazil mentioned.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
Which ones do you use? Which terminals? Which is your main one? Is it Rio?
It is Rio. Like, I mean, it would be weird if I maintained Rio and didn't use it as the main one.
Yeah.
But I think I use Rio like 95% or 98%. But often when I'm developing stuff, like for example, now I'm developing box characters like to be draw, like as Ghostty and Alacritty does and Kitty does. So in these moments, I actually open the other terminals because I need to compare like how they do and how I want to do. So like I think in like maybe at Charm as well, I do. But it's also like if you work with terminals, like for example, if you work for Charm, you also need to give a very good compatibility support. So you need to test a lot of things in Apple Terminal. Like you cannot just ignore those terminals.
So you have to take the Apple terminal and also iTerm into account?
Yeah, I do have like actually I try to use everything. So like I see what's good from which and try to take a bit. I think my favorite outside of Hue has been Ghosty, but I think like I have a different view from Misho, which is a great guy by the way. Like when he started like the terminal, he reached out by email. I didn't know who he was. And it was funny because everyone knew him. And I talked about him in the conference one time, and then people were like, "Oh, so you're friends with Hashimoto?" And I was just like, "How do you guys know him?" Like, I didn't, I came from a different background. I didn't know, like, I came from front end, like, so I was like, "What is going on?" And I used to work with backend early in my career, but like, was like a long time ago. So I used to float back end, front end. I did a bit of working data analysis. Like I like it to switch. So in that time of my career, I was working with back end, and then people thought like I didn't know who he was, and then he reached out. I thought that he was just like a random guy, and then I used to talk with him. And then suddenly everyone was, like, "Oh, this guy is like really famous and blah blah blah." But never appeared to me that he was that way.
Oh, yeah. You were not aware of the HashiCorp products.
Yeah, no, I never connected those things. Like I learned it actually in the conference.
Oh, okay.
I sent a message to him actually after that. I was just like, "Dude, you're actually pretty famous." Like I didn't even know.
Okay, that's a funny story. Okay.
Yeah.
And why did he reach out to talk about terminals?
He sent an email. No, I think someone, because he tweeted something about his terminal back in time, and someone told like, "Do you know Rio?" And then he was like, "No, I have used Rio and I like it. And I will I'm gonna try to talk with the developer of here." And then I don't know. I think I had my email public. I don't remember the whole story. This many few years ago, like, and he sent an email like with like few paragraphs, like, and I told him like, "Dude, let's just talk in the Discord." And so like I started to just like talk about terminals and what we thought that was cool, and like how I think that this is a thing actually that is missing a bit more in the universe of terminals. There's like this collab between terminal authors because like there's so much specs that we could be working together, and everyone's doing kind of their own protocol. Like now Kitty is developing their own font protocol, and I think is great. But also I was working something similar to that looks a bit different. So it kind of like it's just like I feel that kind of needs like this talk among each other sometimes.
The collaboration, so you don't do the same thing over and over, right?
Yeah, and also discuss, right? You have this in the web, like with the working group or committee that people state, and they're like, "Oh, I like this idea," or "This idea is not good." Before you actually add protocols, like you start to validate with people. I don't know, like because if you get quick traction, like sometimes the things just stay there forever. Then like other terminals just are gonna implement because everyone's asking. So I don't know.
I see. Yeah, so if the feature becomes popular, all of the other terminals are going to implement it and probably create a version on their own.
Exactly.
When you could use
Exactly.
something common, all of the terminals, right?
Yeah. I mean, something in that line of thought, right? Like that we could go to more things together. I don't know, but I think also that every terminal emulator developer, they also kind of they like they own they own sometimes, like because the profiles that I have on top of my mind is like they're pretty much developing stuff alone, and then it's also I understand them as well. I also a bit like that, so I think it's a bit complicated.
And isn't there like a Discord channel where all the terminal guys are where you can talk? No, there's not.
Yeah, someone from Charm told me that there's like this place where people discuss stuff. Um, I haven't tried, to be honest. Like, and I feel like I didn't know if they had like the terminal, because sometimes like I think it's like sometimes people they have the idea that will be good to have, like they come with their own protocol, but without the really understanding of like how a terminal emulator works. And it's like, for example, Alacritty, like they, I understand why they never developed like the image protocols if you're everyone asking for it.
Yep,
Because
I was asking for it as well. Yep.
Yeah, because like in some way, if you develop your own render in the terminal emulator, you see that they have like the architecture and the particularities where they base the like I'm not gonna enter it like in the technical approach of it, but it's like to add something as the image protocol. Like you need to change the stuff, and that's how Ghostty also adapted how they do stuff. Like because you need to actually revamp your architecture to do that, and you're gonna pay performance. It's like I think one thing that Hashimoto talks that I like it on his article was like when people were comparing with Alacritty and his terminal. He says like, yeah, sure, like, but in the same way, the more stuff you add for the terminal, like, it's likely that you're gonna. I mean, sure, it's gonna be fast, but it's like not necessarily gonna be faster than something that does the simple job. So it's like if you have like a really small module that just process text, like so takes that text and plots on the screen, like just rendering. How that's gonna be faster than like I don't know, something that deals with image, UI, everything like at once. So the more features you actually asking, like, oh, I want to have like font ligatures, I want to have this. So you're gonna end up paying price for it because like it's how it works.
Yeah.
And you can of course optimize the terminal to be really fast. You could like write a lot of logic, like you use like it's parallel processing, send everything. But in the same way, if the other version that is simple do the same optimization, it's still gonna be faster. It's like it's the same concept of like algorithms. Like there is no way, like you know what I mean? Like 1.4, like is lower than like 2.4. I mean, of course, like I think this is in the very raw mode. Like there's cases and cases, but you see what I mean? It's like if you're dealing with more input, they need to do more process. They are and they're like work, and you can like you're gonna keep increasing the time.
Yeah.
So I respect Alacritty a lot for the decisions that they take, but I also understand the community necessities that people just want like to the terminal to modernize a bit. So I feel that I think it's a very tricky situation because like right I think there's like I think Alacritty needs to exist. Like they need to exist. Like they need to be. They need to be the example of like a option for people that just want the basic and the fastest.
Yep, definitely.
And you know what I mean, like and other options should exist. That's why I was talking that like I have all the terminals because like every terminal does something different, and I kind of like it.
Yep, I would probably still be in Alacritty if it wasn't for images. It's not like I need images, but
Yeah,
I kind of do
you're
need images.
feeling that you're missing out, right?
Yeah, but like you mentioned, right? That's why we have so many different options. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I just like viewing images because I just quickly want to see, okay, so let's say that I'm working on something. I always open this file. This is the file. But I just want to see, okay, yeah, this is the right image, right? Now,
yeah.
I just want to see that. I just want to confirm basically when I paste an image in Neovim that I have the right image, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I would have to open a preview. I can't do that, in the browser.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, but I have options.
No, I am with you. I'm with you. That's why you use Kitty and like Ghosty.
Yeah.
Like and Rio. But I think that like in terms of image protocol, like he is far behind like Kitty and like he still needs to catch up with Ghosty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like
what does Ghosty use? Does it use the Kitty graphics protocol?
Yeah, exactly. And he does support sixel. I think like Kitty does not support sixel and Ghostty sure does not support sixel. And both all the terminals they support also the iTerm2 protocol as well.
Mm-hmm. And I have a very important question for you as a
Go for it.
terminal developer, right?
Go for it.
I want to know what you think about this tmux.
Man, this has been like this has been actually funny because you're doing the right question in the right time. Last week in Charm we were discussing this, like because everyone have their own opinions, right?
Yeah.
And I think the following, like do you use tmux?
I use tmux. Yep.
Right. So I think this, like, tmux is great, and if you think from a user perspective, is like you don't care like what is like terminal developer perspective because you don't maintain a terminal.
Yeah.
Like you exactly right. So you just want like something that works for you.
Yeah.
You don't really care.
Me as a terminal user, yep, I don't care. But I do understand the pain that terminal maintainers go through with tmux. I just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think like in overall, I think it's a great like tooling. It's hard to even imagine like something replacing tmux nowadays, like because this is so wide used. Everyone that uses terminal sort of how uses it or uses zellij. And back in time, use it to use screen. But I think like I am not in that position to judge people. They also don't maintain terminals, so it's like why are you gonna judge then? You know what I mean? I actually started to develop like a multiplexer on my own, just to because okay. So this is the deal. tmux is like a program that creates TTY and then manages that for you. And the terminal is gets a bit confused because like you're running a program that is managing TTY and returning it like for you. And then like you're talking about capabilities, you talk about a lot of stuff that like tmux is doing out of the hood.
So
like they're doing
is tmux like running another terminal in your terminal?
Exactly. So they keep creating like terminal instance for you, and managing that for you. So I started to think like, okay, like it's kind of like a layer between the terminal program. No, sorry, the emulator, the program, and the terminal. Because like, so the program is the layer between the host and the terminal itself, the PTY, pseudo terminal. And so I started to work on the proof of concept that is like, I don't know when this is going to be done, but I started to create like, okay, so what if I create and manage instances through the terminal via like ANSI? So like I ask the terminal to create like an instance, and then like once I have an instance, I can just ask for like any information about the running instance to the terminal. So I started to work on the multiplexer that like that does not feel like a hack, like for the terminal perspective. So I give to the terminal the power to create and manage instances and just notify the running program. Um, I don't know when this is gonna be done. I was able to work like to get this working, but it's not the same way. It's just like just here per self is a lot of work in my daily basis. So it's just like I don't know
Yeah.
when I'm gonna be, finishing wrapping that up. But yeah.
And how is compatibility? Let's say that tmux adds a new feature. What does that mean for you as a terminal maintainer? Do you need
I mean,
to make it compatible with your terminal?
yeah, like as long I have this is a bit like complex because it depends on the feature, right? So it's like when we're talking about image protocols or stuff like that, tmux needs to recognize and understand the capabilities that you have from the host. So that's why people a lot of times you open the issues and like it's funny because like for example SSH, like you try to connect from a server, and then or like trying to do something somewhere, but the host, the term that you have is a different host. Oh, sorry, the host that you are is a different term than the server that you are running at. So it starts to have like a very weird like response. Like it starts to, like oh I'm typing and something very
Strange
bad.
happens. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that is the thing with the so you often needs to map that out
Yep.
to tmux, and but that does not necessarily. That's just because that is why I said depends on the feature. In general, there's enough, but there is a lot of other stuff that you also need to map out because you also need like tmux to. Again, like from a terminal developer perspective, is a bit of is not nice. Like because a lot of user issues that comes to Rio is like tmux, intervening in the stuff and actually doing stuff that Rio should be doing. And I understand why people like they talk about tmux, but I think like I don't want to be the terminal developer that just criticizes because I use tmux for a long time, and then so if you're a user, like does not really matter. Like you want the terminal to work for you, and you just understand. Like you just want to go to you and open your issue and say like, "Hey man, this broke." But then most of the times people are forgetting the configuration.
So you just
Oh, yeah.
ask in the issue, are you using tmux? And if they answer yes, you just close the issue right away.
Yeah, I know some people that actually did that. Well, I'm not gonna mention names, but like, is not the best. Like, I try to be kind to people over the issues.
Yeah, it's really complex as a user as well. Getting tmux in between, terminal tmux and your application, it's another layer that you have to take into consideration. So if you don't know what you're doing, it's because I remember I had an issue with WezTerm, right? So I tried to view images in WezTerm, but I was using tmux and
Right.
I had weird issues. What I had to do was to download the kitty term info file, use that in WezTerm, and that worked with tmux. Right?
Yeah,
So
that is one type of issues that you get with regarding the capabilities. And I think one thing that's funny as well is like, man, terminals are like a word. Like it's just like a lot of stuff. But one thing that's like people often ask me, like when sixel is landing at Rio for Windows, and then the thing is like for Rio to have sixel working at Windows, we need to use a specific version of the compty, and like either a way to Windows bundle that up, and basically that's what I have been doing, or either I bundle up, like I actually get the compty, put in Rio binary, and then run, Rio, like actually triggering that binary, which is how WezTerm has been doing, and a lot of other projects has been doing as well. But for me, it's so bad to actually need to, get something from Microsoft, like, and make it work, compile it to something, and then it's like, okay, now you're running the ARM, now you're running the x86, and then do this, like, just instead of like relying on something that should exist for, like in every system, basically. So I don't know. Like I have no. Maybe I'm gonna actually bundle it up in here to get the issue sorted out. But I also a patient man, so I can wait a bit more.
Mm. How do you feel as a terminal maintainer when a user like me, right, comes along, tries Rio, and the first thing they do is install tmux? Do you feel that they're not using Rio anymore? It's like, so why are you using Rio? Just use whatever. How do you feel?
No, I feel great actually. Like I have no strong bad opinions about tmux. Like again, like I was a user before. Like I used to use tmux. Like everyone that complained about tmux, I think that's some moment of their career they use a tmux. You know what I mean? Like all the terminal developers, like they use a tmux before. I don't want to mention names, so it's like sure, like kind of changes your perspective after you maintain a terminal. Like you start to see things differently.
Mm.
But I don't want to be this person that judges like and say like, oh, this is poop. Like in the end of the day, people are doing what I was doing before. You know what I mean? Like they're not. And frankly, better for them. Like they don't need to maintain a terminal. At the end of the day, they can just live their life and like just chill. I think that actually is great for them.
Yeah. Let me tell you why I love tmux. Okay. The only reason, yeah, that is
Man,
basically
everyone has like a different reason. I actually have been asking that like the past week because I was just like, okay, I want to write a multiplexer myself. So what features of tmux I need to copy? And everyone has like they own stuff. Like my boss was like, oh, I love the way they integrate with SSH. And my other friend was like talking. What was the thing? I think it was about the server. They can just have like it running in different places, and then you have like. So that's why I think the tmux is it's a great piece of software in terms of like it gets the job done, and it's hard to see it being replaced. Sorry, man, go like you're going to something.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Yeah. It's pretty interesting what you're saying. Everyone has something different.
Yeah, and it's like I think like people saying like about the configuration that they liked it about the leader key, but all these features they are reproducible. Like for example, it's just like tmux has so much love from the terminal community that no one came and said like, oh, I'm gonna rewrite tmux in I don't know, like in Zig or in Rust.
Oh, in Rust?
And
Is that zellij? Is it written in Rust?
no, it is right, but it's like if you think with me, it's like yeah, sure, it's one guy, but how many multiplexers have you heard about it?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not like terminals.
Yep. No,
Like
just tmux. And zellij, but it's not that
yeah,
popular. Yep.
yeah, exactly. And I
So it's
started
a
to do
monopoly.
my yeah, exactly. No, I think it would be fun actually to do the multiplexer. I did already work with four panels and with the leader key, and I was able to do some of tmux functionalities in 3 days, but it's like but it's so great when you think like, oh, it's such a loved piece of software that people, it's like Git. Like you don't come
It's like
to,
it. Yep.
you know what I mean? Like you don't come to a developer and say like, hey man, like do you want to use a different stuff than Git? And then be like, why? It's like it's all working already and works well. And I think that this is the thing with the tmux. So it's like to replace it, you need to come with a very good approach, like of how you're doing in terms of architecture. And I love, for example, the WezTerm does have its own multiplexer. For me, it's like I love it. I think that is like it's so interesting that they do that. And I think actually terminals some way should be doing that, but it's also like there's a terminal should be doing that as well. Like I think like it's also
Yeah.
part of the question.
Yeah.
And so I love it, but I also have like, yeah, like there's probably people who look to you and they'll be like, yeah, why did you put like a retro art, like filter support? And people be like, yeah, man, does it look too much? Like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
So every terminal has a different face.
Yeah, nobody is gonna be happy. There's always people that is not gonna be happy with whatever path you decide to take. So
you're gonna show something with tmux, man. Go ahead.
Yeah. The only reason why I love tmux is where's my terminal? Here, sessions, right? Because for me, sessions are projects, right? So this is my dotfiles, right? So here's the tmux name, right? So if I want to jump to my nodes with that single key map, I'm in my nodes, right? So if I want to jump to my blog post, I just type another key map, it opens that session, and I'm there. If I want to jump to my home session, right? Another key map, I'm there, right? Here's where I type my commands. Or if I want to go to my daily node, for example, another tmux session. So personally, right?
It feels like a workspace.
Yeah, like a workspace, right? So each one of these is like a GitHub repo, right? So I can navigate between my different repos quite fast, right? So that is, I don't care about the windows, right? I don't care about the split panes and all that stuff. No, all I care about.
I get you. Like I think like this is the thing that I actually will try to do in the next EU version. I think like not the version itself. Like I actually have been trying to do it. This I will leave this to the end, but I have been trying to do experimental here with more native stuff. So like I have been working on the swiftui version of here in the parallel. That's close its worth yet, but it's like I have been trying to copy like Arc browser and some stuff that they have like this concept of workspace where you can name stuff and stuff like that. And like it's a thing that I really see value. Like sometimes I'm working on the work, sometimes I'm working on my personal stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just doing dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And like I just
and you
want
don't
to switch.
You don't wanna quit the application, then cd into the other one, open your editor there. It's
Exactly. So. No, I am with you 100%. Like so, it's like I think that I want to explore in the future either in Rio or either I don't know if I want to do the multiplexer, but who knows? Like if I get excited, I will do.
And it's a lot of work, man. So
yeah. No, but I already work on so many stuff in parallel. I'm doing the bash like in version in Rust, and like I think it's like I sometimes I get bored with him. Like I think he's like how can I say? It's like in here you kind of work in some specific type of work. Like you fix bugs, you add features. You fix bugs, you add feature. And sometimes you have the space to be creative. And when that happens, it's great. But you can also break things for users. So it's like you need to also respect. I think with the the multiplexer is a different subject, because sometimes I have space to be, okay, I want to do some crazy stuff. Like I want to create like a protocol that I can send like, please create this TTY, please delete that TTY, what is the output, what is the input, and then connect with admin. Now explaining all the architecture, but it's like, but you see, like you can actually explore stuff, and I think with here sometimes the things are more straightforward, and people they are more they're more concerned in terms of like, oh, because it's like in the terminal, in the maintaining terminal life. Sure, people get excited when they had like cool stuff that they never saw before. Like for example, the retro arch filters were like very exciting, and then everyone's like, "Whoa!" But I think also they get the same level of excitement if I fix a lot of bugs in a row. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's not like you kind of need to treat your users like in the way that they want to use reliable software. So sometimes it's great, like I'm excited, and other times I just want to work on crazy stuff. So it's hard to find the balance, I think.
Yeah. And how is it working with that tmux maintainer? Have you talked to him? What's his name? It's Nicholas. Nicholas. I don't remember the last name. Have you worked with them?
No, not really. Like I never did. But I heard that like they're cool, you know, like never like I don't have personal opinions, but like just heard that they're cool.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. And how is it with Windows? Is Rio? Can you run it on Windows?
Of course, like this is a thing that for me is like a must actually. Like because when I started my career, I didn't have much money. So it was like Windows was the only machine that I could actually afford. So and I didn't know Linux. Like so it's like I just started my career. Like I didn't even I did was not like my coworker that like he was already a Linux fan without even having a computer. Like he was reading Linux magazines before he could have his first computer. But I didn't even know Linux at all. Like so for me, it's kind of a democrat way of software. Think about everyone. Like I just don't want to be developing the good stuff for macOS and like ignoring the rest, or developing good stuff for Linux and ignoring the rest. Like I want to be. I think that this is the part of inclusive. As and for me, like when I was a teenager or a kid, like I didn't have any money to just upgrade for the macOS, and it was like a big deal when I actually changed for macOS. So man, as long as I maintain here, like I will try to give like priority on the Windows. It's tough for me because like it's not my main driver right now. So it's like some stuff is hard to for me to keep up. But this version actually putting some love and doing the native tabs for Windows, which is a thing that people has been asking for a long time. And and blur is something that's also coming. So it's like all these things, you know, like and it's great when you actually add these things. Like you see the love from people, like that they because they have been using the weight about that feature, and then when you do that, it's nice because like you see the yeah, you know, like I think it's a nice thing, like the way that people treat software, I guess.
And how has that experience been? How has it, you know, the open source experience with issues, discussions? Is it a lot of work, a lot of burden? Have you had bad experiences? How is that side
It,
of things?
yeah, I used to do a lot of open source. I don't know if it's the same as Rio, but I used to work for jQuery, like you know, the JavaScript like framework. Oh, my work there was very little, and I used to work for jQuery Color, And just by that time, it was a bit overwhelming. This we were talking about, I don't know, 12 years ago, or no, am I that old? I don't know, like something like 9 or 10 years ago. But then after that, I started to work on my own stuff, like call it React TV, which was like a render for televisions and stuff, and it was great. But I think the real, like like the real open source experience that I really had was when I started to contribute for WebAssembly, and then I started to deal with people asking stuff. Like I think my first job in the WebAssembly working group was to extend the interpreter to actually allow receive named functions to run in the interpreter. And it was funny because it was C++ and like it was not like my area of expertise. So I was still learning the time. And people were like, oh, I'm gonna do. And I was just like, hey man, like I will do. So like that was, I think, my real like kind of like because it's like when you start, like even if you work your own stuff and people use, it's like I don't know, like I had like a lot of I spent a lot of time working outside of open source, so it's like I saw more as like like something extra. But as I was growing up, like getting older as well, like I started to see it more as a lifestyle. Like I think that's why I like it Mozilla at first. That was like everyone, people doing open stuff, and like I would say, like, man, it's hard for me to imagine taking money from here. Like, of course, people can donate and stuff, but it's like I don't imagine myself charging people for using it. And it's also because like I learned it so much with open code that what I mean. Like, so after the experience at the WebAssembly, I started to work the Game Boy. Then I started working on here, and it was kind of a boom in the beginning because someone posted the link in the hackernews, and man, was like it went from 0 to 3,000 stars like in 3 or 2 days, and he was not even done. Like what I mean? Like it was full of bugs. So I kind of sometimes regret opening that quick because like it I mean, it also was good for it. I think it's like like it has the good side and the bad side. The bad side is like, man, people come bursting or like, and then they're like, man, where's this feature? Like, you guys are supposed to be done. And then
More responsibility, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the good side is actually that you get to know a lot of people. Like I got to know so many wonderful people like through here, and even the Hashimoto that is like from another like terminal, man, like he basically allowed me to connect with them with him, sorry, and like connect with Charm as well, like that works with terminal. So it's like in some way it's like it has been like really good to work with, but in other ways sometimes I just don't want to do, like, for example, font ligatures. I didn't really want to do it because I wrote here for myself and was working for my case. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to do that for other people. And I was just like, screw this, man. It was like 3 months rewriting stuff and like making you capable to like rewriting and fixing other people bugs, rewriting and fix other people bugs. And then but like in the end of the day, you look back and you learn so much from the process that actually makes me want to continue.
So it supports ligatures now.
Yeah, it is. It does. Like, and yeah, it was such a fun journey to do that. Like, because it's the type of challenges that you don't expect to face in your regular job. Yeah. So for me, it was like, as I was pissed at sometimes I saw Michel and other people complaining about like font in general, like font rendering is like such a word. There's a lot of stuff that actually happens under the hood, and like before I'd be like, yeah, these people complaining, but who cares? But now I'm just like, man, actually, it's a lot of work.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, interesting. And let's get to know you a little bit more, if that's okay. We already
Of
talked
course.
about Rio a lot, and I think you did cover all of the questions that I had about it. I would like to see a demo on the cool stuff that you have for Rio. If you want to share that a little bit later, but you want
Of
to
course.
share? Yep. Okay. You want to share a little bit more about you? So where you're from, whatever you want to share.
Sounds good. I am from Brazil. I was born and raised in Rio de Janeiro. Um, well, not really raised there. Like I was born in Rio, but like I grew up in like other cities close by. And like I started my career because I wanted to be work with games. I never worked at anything with games.
Terminals.
Maybe yeah, maybe at some moment of my life I will do, but I wanted to work with games, and that never happened. I started to program with PHP and C sharp. So it was like I was doing games for Xbox, and I was so excited about it, and I honestly didn't know that programmers would get any money. I thought I was going to be poor for the rest of my life, and and then it was funny because it kind of like it changed like programming did allow to change my life in terms of came from a poor place and then go other place and travel the world, like learning a language because back in time I only knew Portuguese, so I started to learn. So now I speak Spanish, English, like Swedish, like I speak other languages as well, but I don't want to say that I speak because then people in conference they come talking to you like in their languages, and then you're just like
They
I just
expect
speak
you
the
to
basic.
talk
Yeah,
fluently. Yeah.
exactly. That actually happened in my interview with Spotify. I told the guy that like in the whiteboard, I told the guy that I spoke a bit of Japanese, which I do, but uh, but the guy spoke really fluent Japanese. He lived there for 10 years, and then he started speaking Japanese. I was just like, "No man, I cool. Like I know how to maintain a very basic conversation. Like take it easy."
Yeah. Calm down.
And yeah, exactly. And I for me it was like programming was like very important aspect, and like like I used to work for different companies, worked a lot in Brazil, then start to work for US, and then now work in Sweden. They have the experience of for different, like very different. Like I think the companies that I worked at were very different from each other, so allow me to do stuff that were like I used to work with back end and front end and designer. Then then I used to work for data science. Then DevOps, and then I would just go for embedded systems. So it's like I always have been curious to do everything. Like never wanted to be just that guy that's just front end and or just that guy that's back end. I always liked everything, and I think that was a big issue in my career in the beginning because in the beginning I'm sure they remember people put names as like this guy is like the web developer, and the web developer was like doing everything, but then some moment the web developer became front end, back end, like all this splitted stuff. And so for me, it was like I always saw myself as someone that was very generalistic. Like I like to do everything, but I also fear that people that do everything they're not very good in one specific thing. So it's like I don't know if that's true either, because like I did actually interviews for front end and back end, and I passed for both in as a specialist for both companies in different big companies. So in the same day, in the same way, like I think this is just bullshit. Like like that's my personal opinion. I think it's like people being lazy and they don't want to assume that there's so much to learn in software, and then you just want to keep learning until you die. And yeah, I think like in terms of a background, like I did university as many people did. You know, like came out of university and realized that things from university were not that useful in the real world.
Yeah.
Like people, you know, like they wanted other stuff. And yeah, like I was thought that I would be working with games until so far never happened, but one day might be.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Do you have, where can people find you? I guess in GitHub, right? Or
Yeah. Now I opened like a YouTube channel, so
oh,
let's see if I'll.
you
Yeah,
opened
I will
it
try to
already?
do. Yeah, I will try to because I don't know, man. Like it's like there's Twitter, Mastodon, and Blue Sky, and I feel that it's kind of like crazy when you're posting everywhere and then you deal with people in every place because like you know like people want to be in one specific network. I have friends from different places, so it's like although I really hate some people like well from like I don't know like I don't know if I should answer on that topic, but I have friends from all the three like networks. So it's like for me, it's like man, I don't want to stop losing like have you know like lose touch contact with someone. So like I was trying to keep all the three, but it's just getting like in the point that it's very unhealthy like to follow all these three. So might be that like I just post on YouTube like casually if people want to follow about Rio, then they follow. If they don't want, like I don't give a damn. Like I do software because I like. It's not like you know, it's not like oh I'm doing this because like oh when I have like many stars.
Yeah.
But
And
I think it's about having fun.
do you want to share your YouTube channel? You have it already?
Of course.
Let me
Yeah,
share
I
your
have
screen.
it. I will. No, I actually gonna get my handle name for you because I always forget.
Okay.
Wait, it is
I can share your screen and you can show it
all
there.
right. All right, then I'll get one more. Then go for it.
Yeah, you
Wait.
ready?
I am almost now. I'm ready.
Okay. See. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, there's my like channel, and yeah, here is like the demo with the oops. I'm clicking the feed. Now here is the demo with the retro arc like shaders.
Is that in
It's like
Rio?
it is. It's
Okay.
like you can actually configure a Rio to have the like yeah like to render the way they want, right? So people used to do crazy stuff like saw one guy actually he did like the some characters would be blurred in the bottom and you know like have this hollow effect. I think there's like it's fun. I like to see the terminal getting this video game vibe.
Okay.
It's interesting, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that looks cool. And you have videos there, and they are related to Rio only, or development, or
Yeah, mostly Rio. Like here was the oops. Here was like talk about the. Let me take out the out. Here was talking about the changes that are coming, like to have like you know like to improve the render for use like should draw actually some characters. So like this is how it was before. You see the borders here, like it's not really looking good. And now it's like should be looking like that. Actually, this looks much better in the latest version, and this also. But so like I try to talk a bit like in terms of like things they're doing, they're coming to hear, and like performance is gonna be like twice as faster now, like for the next version as well. So there's a lot of like small things that like I try to just do a drop there. But yeah, like the Game Boy that I also did for Terminal.
What is that? To play Game Boy games in Rio?
Yeah, you can play Rio Terminal, any terminal that has image protocol. So it was like I wrote in Rust. It's like is actually in my GitHub. Like it's just like I can show GitHub Game Boy. So it's like here, it's like the whole emulator, like that runs in the web, and then runs in the like as desktop or terminal. As a long project.
Okay, interesting. So I'm going to leave a link to your YouTube channel and to your GitHub in the video description. I leave those at the top so people can find you. Don't expect for a lot of people to watch the video, because not a lot of people watch my videos, but at least 100 views.
Sounds good. That is more than perfect.
Yep. And do you want to show something about Rio? Like any features that you want to show about it now that we're looking at your screen?
Sounds good. I think like let me think what I was working. Actually, before I show Rio, can I show one thing before?
Yep, sure.
Because I have been working on this project called Mysty, which is like which is basically a shell parser, formatter, and interpreter. And I wrote down here, I just want to learn, but actually it's more than that. I realized that there was like few projects to parse shell and interpret shell in Rust. So I was just like, man, I want to do this. Like I want to, like do this so other people can use. So technically, like either you would have your parser, like you would like use the parser to test something. Like, man, wait, cargo. My keyboard actually I changed it. Let me see if I can configure. Okay, I will try it this way. Should be okay. So it's like should work. Now it's working as a shell. You see, like it's basically it's a batch, like an actual rewriting batch to Rust. And there's so much actually to do, but it's like, for example, if you want to set the environment variable, like that variable 1, 2, 3, then like this is set right in the environment. Like I could like and like should be there. And I think that this is like it's a long project. Like one thing that I'm looking forward to see is like people actually from different like perspective and like different projects to use, because like for example there is many projects that are written in Rust and they have to like parse bash or shell in a very weird way, and I hope that this project actually can help that, like so people can actually test or like write better tooling, like better code with like a proper parser.
So instead of using, instead of creating a bash script that's going to use bash, your script would use this tool that you're creating, right? Or
almost there. I'm gonna show you. And okay, so the thing is like when you forget what you saw now here with the because this is basically the interpreter, like running the interpreter. So it is not connected to the parse. But one thing that I'm looking forward with the parse is basically like, for example, let's say that you write, let's say cat, I don't know, like, and then readme dot md. Like, how do you actually parse that in Rust? Like, there is no parse to bash. At least I could not find any parser to bash. So you don't know if cat is like a keyword, this is a string, like it. Sure, so it's a string. But then if all this is like strings, what happens if I do this? You know what I mean? Like, so there is no tooling to distinct the tokens of that, like that content in Rust. And so I have been working on this, like for like people actually use for, like to write good tests, or if they want to use bash for something or shell for something. So they'll be able to, for example, get this content here, and then know like, oh, it's like two strings with like a one like operator, and then other string, and then do whatever they want with the information. So it's like, for example, if you have like if you're a maintainer of like a package manager and you have like package build files, like you probably would like to write tests for that. So you would need a parser as well. So like, I think that this is something that I'm looking forward to contributing for the Rust scenario. And I saw actually some projects that are rewrite of back in Rust, which are very exciting. But I could not find like a proper parser that I could use, like in my, you know what I mean, like I just wanted to use like a parser of bash, and I saw some projects that I could use partially, but every project had like something that was lacking it. Like one didn't have the X glob, so I could not do like this. Like I could not do like this. So everything was lacking something. But yeah, it's a big project. I think I will be open this project soon. Like some people reached me out that they wanted to use, but I'm looking forward to see.
So this is going to be used by people that develop in Rust mainly, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Or if they want to use the because it's two projects at one, right? They can either use that or they can use the shell rewrite, so they can use the bash, like basically in Rust. So yeah, it's a big project, I would say.
Okay.
Looking forward. And after I have the multiplexer done, if I do, I'll ask you to give a try and see what you think.
Yeah, I want to try the sessions. Let me know when the sessions are ready. I will give it a try for sure.
No, exactly. I need to port most of the features of tmux, otherwise people are not going to use.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be tough because tmux has a lot of different features.
So much stuff, yeah. So much stuff. All right. Hey, you, man. Like, I think like the things that I have been working on here has been like actually porting box characters. So it's like I want to make the hero render looks better, and has been like complaints over the time, over the, I don't know, year, that like Unicode icons, they should be looking better, and like the box drawing characters should be looking better. So I have been working in many PRs actually can show like, so like you guys have a better idea. I'll just pop here. So it's like, this is the current PR that I'm working now. And then you see I need to do every character here. So it's like, all right, this should look better, right?
Yep.
So it's like, so like it does not feel weird when I render that. Either like many terminals, what they do is like they resize or they scale the character to the cell dimension. And he actually will do that as well, but you cannot draw the character by yourself. It just feels better, you know what I mean? Like Kitty does that so good, and Ghost as well. Both terminals actually they draw a lot of characters, and then like they know, like for example, Alacritty, so there's a lot of box characters, and but it's like they get this and they're like, okay, like it's a double cross. Like then I'm gonna draw myself instead of get from the text glyph or for the font atlas or something. And it just feels better because like it is kind of the drawing is based on the font data that you have. So for example, if you're using a specific type of font, it's gonna try to match with the stroke of that font. So it feels much like how can I say, it feels that the icon was made that font. But was like which is funny because many people create issues in here like, oh, why my this is not working? Why that is not working? You know what I mean? And then I don't know how to explain to them that some fonts they're not being coming from anywhere. They're being drawn, and it's just like people don't really understand that there is some magic happening in the background. It's like the terminal is actually making that look better for you. So it's like man, it's a lot of stuff. There's a lot I could click here. There's a lot of stuff to do. Like, but I did the most part. I think it's just a matter of like fixing a test. But for example, if I go for the double cross and I run here, and then you see like there still ongoing stuff. Like get this here. Like it should be like it looks like that fits this font. You know what I mean? So it's like it does not overflow. It fits the dimension of the cell, and it looks like tailor made for the terminal. So yeah, it's something that I've been working a lot in the past weeks. Like hope that I'll get this done like the beginning of the next month. And meanwhile, fixing other stuff like I was fixing like the flickering, like was flickering for some applications with helium, the TY, and then I fixed that yesterday. So it's like there's the life of the terminal container, like this small stuff that comes up, and then you need to like do the proper fixes.
And the filters as well that you were mentioning, are those similar to the filters that Ghostty
I can
has?
show too.
Yeah,
I can show too.
show them.
Like so the filters in here they're based on RetroArch, like and that means that there's like this actually I can show get the so basically this guy the that's another thing. So basically I don't know if you guys ever used like a RetroArch for emulation, but it's like they have a lot of like filters for play old games and stuff. And RetroArch filters. So you have like this shader process, but there's a place in the GitHub, yes, these link shaders, where you can, like do a lot of magic. And I can show to some to you guys already.
Yep.
But you see like kind of like it's funny because it can actually it does changes how you see stuff.
Yep.
And there's two actually filters that are built in here. Otherwise, you need to you can show that these are not like two. Otherwise, like this is a built-in, for example. But otherwise, you will need to map. Like you need to like pass the path of the lengthy file, and then it will do something for you. I'll not scroll down, so there's no spoiler. But you guys already saw in the video, and like so. Let me get. All right, let me get so the. All right, so we'll just go for render. And I think one important thing to mention is like he has like a render mode that is like a video game, so it renders forever. But you don't necessarily need to have that. Like you can just like you can use with events. That is basically how terminals work. Like they type something, then they render something. That's kind of how you do like random necessity. But all right, so filters, and then all right, oops. So I do this, and then boom, like all right, I didn't know like
the
it feels
CRT
like
effect.
exactly. Then you can do like go here. Because I forgot I had actually one good example CRT. I don't remember now. But like it feels like I like ideally it's like give power to people to make the terminal how they want to feel. So there's many people now that are writing their own filters to heal. And like one guy actually in the Discord that has been quite active, like try to like on that matter. Like he even has been writing like a blog post on how to write your own like shader like effect. So let's see how it goes.
Oh,
But
and
yeah,
I remember, I don't know, was it you, the one that shared in Twitter, like some effects that it looked like fire, and I don't know when you were typing stuff.
that was this guy. I think he did for his editor Zach. And I thought I was going to do that for him as well, which I'm gonna do actually. But I think first I will start with the cursor of the animated. Like,
the Neovide thingy, right?
yeah, it's amazing. I actually have it here, and like I cannot wait to finish porting that to you so I can use that in my daily life.
Yeah, because it's helpful. It helps you see where you're at, right? At least to me, it helps me see.
It's a cosmetic, man. Let's not lie here. Like it just makes everything feel better. Let's put that way.
Yeah, it's not lie. It's just cosmetic. You're right.
No, but my boss and I, like, we're such a big fan of that. Like, and actually had a project from one guy that he was able to do that, working for any Vim. So it works for Apple terminal and everything. So like basically he did a Vim plugin that works for every terminal. So it looks like the animated cursor.
I see.
No, it's great.
Yeah, Neovide is the one that started with all that. I remember when I saw the cursor in Neovide, it was like, what is this thing? And it looked, like that. So now,
man, but this is the thing. Like, I want to do more versions of that cursor. I just don't want to do the spoiler yet. But I think like we have like the version from Neovide that is great, but we have like I have other ideas that are based on VS Code cursor. There's one cursor from VS Code that looks like chunks a bit like and then open and I will try to copy that to you as well. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, and if you come up with something creative, it's gonna call attention. People's gonna be like, what is that? How did he do that? What is that terminal? They're gonna install it.
And then they're gonna port that to Ghostty and Kitty, but then like
but you were first.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually I have a thing with here that is like as long as my friends use, all good. So it's like if the people that I work with use, then I'm good. So it's like I'm happy that it's like how people use, like how of my coworkers use. I still need to convince the rest. Actually, one coworker of mine, he really wants to use, but there is one issue in here that I need to fix for him to join, which I hopefully will fix like in this version. But I think that there's my main drive, like get people that I know using it because it kind of gets like it gets nice like when you talk with people and then they're like, "Hey man, like your project does not work," and I think that is cool.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And what is the Game Boy thing that you mentioned that you're working on? So what is that? Do you wanna show it? Like, do you run it on? You said that you run it on Rio, right?
Oh yeah, but I don't actually have it in this computer.
Oh, you don't have it here. Okay.
Yeah, I have here this Linux machine,
Oh, okay. In the other
but it's
computer.
like yeah, my Arc actually, and I have I think in my personal Mac.
Okay.
But I don't remember the last time that I opened my personal Mac.
Oh, okay. But the instructions are in the GitHub repo, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but you can actually run, if I'm not mistaken, you can do cargo. You can actually show. Let me get like, I think it's basically yes. Let me get this to here. So basically, you can just run cargo install Game Boy,
Okay.
like and then you run Game Boy with the path of the file. Then you want to run the game and it should work. But I don't have any legal rule here because I think that is the thing. Like emulation is legal, but if you use like games from Nintendo, like it's like then becomes illegal because basically
Mm-hmm.
So I used to download everything from like from this site itch.io. They allow to like so they made a lot of games and they post the room there.
But they're
And
legal, right?
yeah, they're legal. And then you can just like download, for example, open here. Actually, this one was like, man, people are so excited about this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you can just download the demo. Uh, or unless you own the game and then you put the data of the game they have to a room file, which I did one time, but it's like too much work, man. Like it's just like just it's just like just download from the legal one. You're gonna be okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. So the cursor animation is coming soon. Now, you mentioned that you work at Charm. I have seen that Charm name in a lot of different places, videos, but I don't know what it is. Like, you want
Right.
to talk about it or maybe show it? Like,
Of course, of course. I actually okay. Let's do it.
okay.
Let me just get.
Yeah, get ready and you let me know and I will switch to your screen when you're ready.
All right. So because I was working on this branch, and then now. All right. So let's go.
Okay. Here we go.
So Charm basically, I can actually open the company website.
And do you want to remove the Rio filter so we can see
I can
it?
remove, but I can leave for now. So like some effects are cool to see with this, but I can remove later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yep.
So like Charm is like, man, we do a lot of stuff for terminals, and it's like it's very likely that you use it some like terminal UI app that has been using something the Charm made, and it's like I was actually surprised because like I realized these days superfile, the terminal program superfile.
I don't think I have heard it. No.
Yeah, I think it's this guy superfile. Oh, superfile. It's like it's to show your file basically.
It's like a
And
YASI type of thing, like a file
yeah,
explorer in the terminal.
yet another file explorer, like like Yazi, Ranger, everything. And but it's like I was surprised that was made with Charm stuff. And they have so much stuff like there's it's heavily used. Like it's used by GitHub. Like this thing for send emails through terminal, and like bubble tea, there's like is huge like in the Go ecosystem. It's like like it's like a terminal UI framework, and then like you can create like applications using like bubble tea and like Wish, like to create like SSH apps, lip
What do you mean?
gloss.
What do you mean SSH apps with Wish?
Let's say that you go for like, I think there's a good example here. For example, you do like there's actually someone added here. When you, I'm surprised actually people added this. The thing is like, when you go, let's say they want to go and buy coffee, like you go for the website, right? Like,
Yep.
I don't know, like buycoffee.com. So one thing they could do is just like SSH that domain, and then you could just integrate, like use that to, buy coffee. So you could just
like Prime and TJ's and all of those guys coffee thingy, right?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it uses like Wish actually, like
terminal.shop.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost sure that they use like Wish, or because I remember we actually demoed something from them. I guess I don't remember now. But it's basically the idea. You can go there and then you like buy the thing through there, which I think is awesome. Like bring the terminal back to the game. And lip gloss, that's basically to create like layout without depending on bubble tea. There's so much projects actually. Glamour, like for render markdown.
Is that like a markdown editor, that glamour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So it's like so it's like yeah. It's basically like but here you have in Go, like but like if you want the render itself, like you have to glow, which is basically the app itself.
Okay, so this is assuming you don't use Neovim, right? So the reason why mine looks like this right now is because I'm inside Neovim, and that's where all the styles are applied and all that stuff. So this other one that you're showing right now is if you're
will be with if we're not using it without it, right?
Oh, so you just open the file with this glow thing, and it looks like that.
Yeah. But man, so many projects actually. I think there's like it's hard to summarize. I think the mod is one that's getting really fun now. There's like because like you can connect with the AI in the terminal. It's like so Gun. I think that this is by far my favorite of Charm. And if Charm allowed me to rewrite this to Rust, I would do it in the blink of eye. But it's like, because I love Gun. I think there's like, and I'm not sure if it actually needs to be rewritten in Rust. It's just because I am likes to rewrite everything to Rust, I guess. But it's like,
and what is that gum for?
Like, all right, so tag along with me. So this is a good example. So you do that. Oh wait, let me. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of things happening now, so it gets a bit confused. But for example, let's do the tutorial. So you write like gun choose. So you give the options, right? Fix, fit, docs, style, and then you put like a placeholder, and you do like like you can also do in a different way, and you can do like a conform, and then it like it does that automatically for you. Like it kind of like, and it will return for you in the shell script the value. So it's like it's useful for shell script, And if it's useful for shell scripts, you can actually pipe that information, right? So it's like you can do like a gun to do something, and then you add a pipe, and then you return the information to the other command. So it's like the people doing like a combo of gun so many times, like gun this, gun that, pipe, gun this, gun that, pipe. I think that that's actually my favorite feature, to be honest. And like, and there's like, input and move to answer, and then it has so much stuff actually that it kind of feels like a better shell. You know what I mean? It's like it is not really a better shell. Does not has a shell power, but it kind of gives you like a utility to use as like a shell assistant or something. But I also biased it. I worked there, but I was fan of Charm before being hired, so take that in consideration.
Okay, so this is if you run a lot of bash scripts, right? It makes them look nice, because I see that it looks nice. It has like a code block type of thingy there at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's like other things that people do as well. There's like, let me see, like file, pager, like spin. There's table as well. I don't know where's the print. Like in the case of the style, right? Like but it makes looks like shell looks better, I guess.
Yeah, because for example, I run bash scripts a lot, right? If I want to create a new VM, or let's say that I want to create 4 VMs in my home lab, right? I have bash scripts, but it doesn't look as nice. So I guess I could use that gum thingy that you show right now to, I don't know.
Yeah.
But do I have to rewrite my bash scripts, or?
No, you actually you keep your bash script the way that you want, but the part that you actually need the data, you integrate with Gun. So it's like, for example, if you wait for a read line in the bash, in the shell, instead of you wait for the read line, you can call Gun input, and then magically that would happen for you, magically. It's like that would happen for you. So it's like you would need to integrate by small pieces.
I have to take a look. And are these tools free? Like, how does Charm sustain itself? Is it open source? How does all of that work?
Man, I think it's funny because everyone actually asked that question. Like Charm nowadays, is a company that leads up for investment as well. So he's invested by big companies, and I confess they're not the most business. So it's like I could be actually talking about now, like venture capital. I don't know what disturbs me. I'm just a humble programmer, but it's like we actually get investments, and like Sharp has always has done open source. So it's in the way the companies rely on Charm as well. So for example, GitHub use a lot of stuff from Charm. So frankly, I don't think I'm this person to give the best answer, but I know that things work like that, out of the hood.
And everything is open source. And as a user, do I have to pay for any of the tools?
No, you don't need to. Just use and do the best you want with it.
Interesting. I didn't know. I did watch some videos and it looks quite nice, really polished. And I was like, but what is this company doing? Then I kind of get it now. So
everyone gives the same question. And even before I joined Charm, I don't know if I had the same question, because before I joined Charm, I thought well, if it's a company that is used by so many people, thousands and thousands. I felt there's like, yeah, in some way someone's gonna be paying for that, like to keep that company alive. And that's what I thought before joining. But it's like, but I confess that it's not like I don't think I'm the money person, to be honest. Otherwise I probably would have charged for here.
Okay. And thanks for sharing about Charm. I didn't know much about it, but now I get a
Now you know.
better idea. Yep, now I know. And you have this blog post. Let's see. What is this about? You want to share? You want to show that?
Of course, I don't want to show the editor yet, but I can talk about it. All right, let me share this screen.
Yep.
And so in November, I started to draft why I'm working on the new, I write a post about why I'm working on the new code editor. And I can summarize, I feel that most of the code editors, they feel the same, they look the same. And it's just like, at the end of the day, you're probably just gonna end up returning to VS Code, Vim, or Emacs, wherever you feel comfortable, right? So I think for me, I started to think man, I would like to have what Vim does, but in the way that was for everyone. Like a designer could just sit and use a Vim without having to have a learning curve. You know what I mean? Like anyone that's not from tech, just use Vim without need to learn actually how the editor works.
Yep.
So I started to think a lot about it, and although I was playing video games, and I was just yeah, I think actually video games, they are kind of self-explanatory. You don't need to teach much. It just happens. At some moment you start to get the gameplay. You don't take I used to use Neovim and Vim for a long time. I don't use as I used to use now. Before, I think there was I used to use those tools a lot, to the point where I was actually giving trouble to my teammates where they had to type on my computer. You know what I mean? Because they didn't know Vim, so they were like, "Man, what the hell? I don't know what I'm doing here." And it made me thought, man, I don't know. In the end of the day, I think the keyboard-based editor should be simple. It should be something that is fast for you and fast for other person. And I started to work on Boo, and Boo is does work as a GUI and does work as a terminal editor as well. So you can use whatever you want, can use in the terminal, or you can use as a desktop app. And my idea was to reinvent mouse-free editors. So you can actually, do stuff without feel like you're playing guitar. Because I play guitar, and I feel that every time that I type on Vim, I feel like I'm playing a note. You know what I mean? And then that mentality actually drove me to write Boo. I think my goal now is getting the point where I share it, where I am actually comfortable to share with other people, because I see in my daily basis, it's really good for Rust code, but it's not really optimized for other language yet. So I don't know. I try other editors. I always feel that they are bloated. There's so much things happening, and then at the end of the day, you don't really want to be there. The editor has a terminal built in. It has a git diff. There is so much stuff happening there, and then at the end of the day, it's just man, what are you doing here? It's not really about editing code. It's about everything else. I feel there's a thing that I like about tmux, that you say it, I think connects with Boo. When you are in the workspace, you don't know which workspace you are. You're just there. It does not feel bloated. You know what I mean? Of course, you can put a message there. Hey, you're in the number 3. like in the top of tmux, you can configure stuff, but you don't feel like, oh, they are taking your space.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this is the thing I noticed in all the code editors is like the more stuff you add, more folders you open, it just feel like it looks like completely different from what was supposed to be. So I feel that most of the editors, they were not designed to be, like that big scoped. I feel like being in some way does that well because like you change your mentality to from editing a folder to edit a file, but it's like you're still stuck to the guitar instrument. So it's like, oh, I want to go to the bottom. How a person that does not knows how to use Vim would do that? They will need to Google about it and learn. Oh, I want to move to the side. They will need to do this and learn. So I have been working on Pool, like mostly to try to make mouse-free editors for everyone. Like a person that does not knows anything of tech should be able to use it as well.
Okay.
So
And
yeah, it
is
yeah.
it going to use Vim motions or VI motions or something different?
Man, people actually have been asking a lot about it, and people got excited. This is the logo, by the way. I share it now.
Hold on.
The
Okay.
and
What is that? The logo?
it's like the logo from the editor. Pool.
Oh, but
It's like
what are
yeah.
what is Mitchell gonna think with the Ghosty logo?
I don't know, man. Is a subject that like. But the thing is, like, he sort of inspired me as well, like with the Ghosty, because the way that he did, like putting the dev logs and stuff like that, it kind of affected me, like in the way that I was just like, okay, I want to do something similar. I just didn't know that was going to be this similar.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same way, like, it's just like, let's just think as a Ghost from Rust version. Like Ghost has the Zig version, but it's gonna have now a Rust version as well.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, how can I say? I feel there's so much room for improvements in terms of the experience of editors, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just like, for example, you said about the anything now with the README, but that thing does not work out of the box with the README, like with the markdown files. You actually need to configure that, right? So you need to add like a plugin or something that makes it looks better. And I think that this is like a big mistake of Neovim in general. Like people don't really care. They don't really want to spend, like polishing, like too much stuff. And most of the people that polish stuff, they use similar stuff. So it's like, oh, I have the space. I have this plugin that show markdown better, or I have this other plugin that show markdown better. Sure, but like one could come as default, and you could just change as long as you wanted. You know what I mean? And I think that this is like, in my opinion, one of the problems with being in general, but it's like because sometimes people just want to code. They just don't want to spend like like weekends like customizing
months
and
configuring
yeah,
your editor.
exactly. Yeah, I have a colleague that he's years actually doing this.
So is this more like something already just ready for you to code, right? You don't need to customize anything. It'll just work out of the box. And you will not have many options to configure as a user, right? It's just...
Yeah, one thing that Ghostty does well, and I agree as well, is like the less configurations, the better. Like they have this philosophy. And I don't know if for Rio, I want to follow that philosophy. Let's leave that for them. Like they're doing that, like why he needs to copy them in the terminal perspective. But for the editor, I can try to copy that philosophy and try to actually make in the way where people can just, to tune in and just code. But I also think there's one thing that's like everything should be removable. Because I also think that is a mistake from, editors that make everything like default. So it's like sometimes like people don't want that crap. And it's just like everything should be like as long as they are there, they should be removable. And if they're removable, like they should not affect the person's performance. So it's like it's the same with like some editors that they have AI or code like a static analysis. Like sometimes you disable that, but it's like it still feels that it's slow because they're running like something that like they have like a thread that is idle doing nothing. And I think that this is a thing for me with Bo. I want to do in the way where like if people want to have literally anything, they can go with it. Like they can go with like something that looks like Vim, very dumb, like very simple, and just works. Because like sometimes just plain Vim is also good. It's like has been good for many people for many years. But I think like the editor that I want to do is like it starts for you in the way that you don't need to Google of how things work. It's just there. And you don't need to install anything. It's just there. And it's just like you can actually focus on get your work done, like without actually care, I need to change this key bind because like this other thing will happen. Like I used Vim and Neovim and Emacs for many years, and man, I spent a lot of time like making it, not I don't know if looking nice was my goal, but I wanted to be more productive. And the thing is like it's a non-ending cycle. Like you just keep finding new stuff, and then you develop this mentality that where you actually start to think about plugins all the time and seek for plugins. And I think that this is like, man, I don't know if that's what I want to be. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
But I also love it. Like, I think like I don't want to be the guy that criticizes that.
But you did.
Because no, I did, and I will keep doing. But it's like, by the same way, I want to be the person that says like,
what are the Brazilian guys? What are the Brazilian guys gonna say? Brazil mentioned you're destroying Neovim.
But replace it with another one, right? So keep the Brazil stack.
And wait, what's gonna happen with Boo when all of the Neovim users come in and tell you, "Hey, I don't have this that I had in Neovim implemented," and then you're gonna end up with Neovim again, but in Boo.
Yeah, this actually has been a concern, and I think there's like I wrote that in the last blog post. There's just like many people they have been asking like, "Oh, I want Emacs or Vim bindings." Yeah, and yeah, so it's like Boo does not do any of these bindings. Actually, it used its own bindings, but the reason for that is like, man, I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing those tools because I'm actually a big fan of Vim. Like I used Vim for many years. And I do see the value actually in the tooling. And frankly, just to think that that software was written like many years ago is mind blowing. It's like to have that perspective, like like it's just like it's insane. Like Vim works well for many and many decades. So it's like I have a really huge respect for Vim. I don't like to be that guy that like just criticize open source, and I actually think that people that want to keep using Vim, man, keep using Vim. Like Boo is not for you. Like there is no that you're Boo,
not the you're just gonna tell them, Boo, go away.
Yeah, exactly, go away. But it's not the profile that I want to bring to Boo. Not because like they would not fit, but it's like they spent. I told this to Carlos, the guy that worked with me, and she's like, "Man, you spent so many years of your life learning something. There is no sense in migrating. Like you're very productive on that. Why are you gonna become less productive in other too? You know what I mean? Like, so I against actually this mentality of like, oh, migrate from Vim to Boo, migrate from Emacs to Boo. I think Boo is not for those people.
Okay.
I think
Get it.
Boo is for the new generation. It's like people that don't really want to spend time learning keybinds or learning, Lua or learning, other stuff. And they're like, okay, I want to use something simpler. And I think Boo is for those people.
Yeah, because
But
you bring up a really good point. It's never ending with Neovim. I use Neovim. I love Neovim, but I do get your point. Not everyone is willing to put the hours that I have to put that I have put in my configuration. It has been months, right?
Years. I would bet years. And the same with Linux, right? It's like I love Linux, and I think man, it actually came gave people so much freedom. You know what I mean? But in the same way, some people they don't want to spend time doing anything. They just want something that updates itself, that that is mainstream and then does something. So I think that is bullish to target that part of the people that would love to have a terminal editor, but does not want to, and I think the Elix, Elix, the other editor, they kind of go in the line. They do a lot of things inside, and I think that Boo goes a lot similar to them.
Elix.
Yeah, but the difference is I still feel that Elix, you still need to sit and Google stuff. So I think that is the thing that I want to do with Boo. I want Boo to be intuitive. I want you to you write down as you would write in the in the browser. And if something is wrong, I want the editor to correct you. Hey, you're trying to do this, then no, this doesn't work here. You should do this. And this whole thing is actually built in Boo. So it's you're trying to save a file. This actually already happens in Boo. You're trying to save a file with Command S, and in the terminal it notifies you. It's not who works here. You don't need to Google. I'm gonna tell you how it works. And then, so it's everything is part of a game. I would say it's very connected itself. So it is I have been trying to make Boo for people that don't code. So it's I'm using them as my guinea pigs. So it's I have been giving to them and say hey man, how would you save a file? And I think Boo is for them and not for the super programmer that that has the multiple cursors.
And also for people that just get tired of Neovim configuring stuff, Emacs and all that stuff, and they're I just want something out of the box that works. I have a question for you there. You mentioned that it's optimized right now for Rust, right? Because that's what you use mostly, Rust.
Exactly.
And what's going to happen when you need to, when you have users, because not everyone's going to code in Rust, right? There's going to be a lot of Go and a lot of other programs. How are you going to work? How isn't that going to be a lot of work? Is it going to have a plugin system, or you're going to build everything yourself?
Yeah, excellent question. I think now, so Boo use 3-seater. So it's should work for the syntax highlight works for every language so far. Most of the languages, not every language, but it's but my goal is actually have most of the language server protocols built in. So it's you download what you need and you run with the things that you need, but you don't need to go someplace to get don't need to go there and say I want to go a plugin to run this. No, it's already there. It's an option there. So I think there's that's my other challenge with Boo. There's I think that the language adoption will need to be one by one, and it's just it's gonna take time. Because there's the thing you need to put quality on what you do. You need to sit, test, repeat, and then you say oh, people that use Rust they would like this feature, and then you extend the Rust things in Boo. And that would be the same for Go. Like people like will need to like kind of like give in Go is called actually runtime. So it's like it's basically what you would call in Vim, like the plugins and all these type of things. It's like called runtime in Go, and it's like it has like anyone can go there and modify by themselves. So it's like the community could go there and just say like, yeah, I want the runtime to do like the auto format of the code, like by default, and then they would go and change the code there. I mean, it's a long project. Like I work with it. Like I have been working with it for half a year. I think like not even in the end of 2026 is gonna be done. But it's like I like to imagine that it's gonna have a close beta ready in the end of this year for some people.
It sounds like a lot of work, and it does sound.
Yeah.
Don't you have enough with Rio?
No, never enough, man. The hustling.
You love issues in GitHub.
Oh yeah, apparently I do. I need help.
Okay, good. Thanks for sharing about your editor in progress. We're gonna see how that continues. I'm gonna subscribe to your channel. I didn't even know that you had a channel because you don't post it on YouTube, on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I will try to be more often. That like it's true. Like I have been. It's very new. Like I posted a few times, and now I'm trying to have some consistency.
Okay, yeah, I will subscribe so I will be able to see the updates there, and we'll see how everything turns out by the end of 2026. And we already talked about this bash and rust. You showed that already. Let's talk about this. Is really important. IDE. So you were using Neovim. What are you using now? So you went back to Notepad. You went to the basics, or what are you using now?
Man, believe it or not, like I was using Boo for Rust, and I used Sublime Text for a long time because I got to use it with the front end tooling. Like I think that they had good front end stuff back in 2013, 2015, and frankly, I still think that they have one of the best cursors, multiple cursors of the market. Like I think that they do a lot of stuff very well.
Sublime.
Yeah, Sublime.
Oh,
and
I had a call with one of the Helix. He's a contributor, Helix contributor. I still have to edit the video and upload it, but I did really love the work that they do with multiple cursors. It's
amazing. It's amazing. I think that's a thing that I'm trying to copy in Boo, but since Boo has like no, but then I just spoiled it. The thing is, like, I also had to reinvent the mouse, the multiple mouse, because the thing is, like, since you cannot use mouse in Boo, it's like it's not allowed. Like, you don't even have the functionality.
Oh,
like does not work. So it's like I had to write a lot.
But then users are gonna come in. You know how it is. You know how it is.
No, if they complain. No, but this is different. Boo is not built for like it's not built for mainstream. It's like real everyone can use, and you know like but Boo is like you like mouse free editors. You don't want mouse.
If you like mouse, don't even come here.
No, exactly. I think that this should be part of the premise. Like, I don't think I will be ever adding that to Boo. Because if I add it, okay, one thing that I noticed, like writing Boo now is like, was like, if you add any type of functionality partially, it's like, oh, you're gonna have mouse support. Then you're gonna do the things half as baked. It's like you're not gonna think like, oh, this person does not have mouse. What would happen? No, you start to consider that people has mouse, and then you do like a editor that like consider that people has mouse, and like they should just click on that. And I think that I like about Vim and Emacs because they are true for many years. Like, so they actually developed quite well due to the restrictions. You know what I mean? Like, they had many restrictions back in time, and they're still faithful for those restrictions. And I think Boo should also understand this. Like, hey man, there's no mouse. Like, you need to make a mouse experience by the terminal, and you should make that looks good. And how you do that, I think that there is like one. I have actually did so many prototypes. One was called link shot, which was like you held the key for a while and then would like scroll up and scroll down depending on the time of the press. But it didn't work out. Like at the end of the day, it was very weird. And like so, it's like I've been exploring different ideas of how to do an editor that actually makes you feel that you're forced to type. Like you need to type. There's no other way. And but yeah, man, it's like it's very. I think that this is fun. Like this is the fun thing. I think that this is a thing that I feel that's different than Rio. There's like one thing that I'm glad about Boo is that it's closed source. So it's like it's kind of my laboratory. No one has access. I do crazy stuff, and if I don't like it, just throw it in the trash.
Yep.
But here, if I do something and someone likes, they do a fork and they copy and move to here. Like today fork. One time I did something and then I didn't like it and I removed it out from here. But I think it was a Russian guy. He forked the project and he was like, "Oh, but I really like this feature." Then you remove it, and then he started to use,
The fork.
from the fork, and then people started to be like, "Oh, I like this fork. Like I want to use this," and it's very different, Like.
And what happened? Did you add the feature back?
No, I talked with the dude and I added in another way. So I had to actually change the architecture of here to fit that. And so I ended up having extra work, so a feature that I didn't even want. But
so you have to be really careful with which features you introduce once it's
exactly
in beta or out there, because
no, but this is the thing with Boo now that it's just me.
Yeah.
So it's just like I break stuff, I like stuff, I don't like. I do like weird stuff. Sometimes I do very weird stuff, and then in the end of the day, I have with it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I live my life, and then if I do that in Rio today, people I start to do the plugins in Rio in WebAssembly, and then people are like, "Well, why not Lua? Why not this guy? Why not that?" And that's just like, guys, just let me explore. I need the time to think about things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because if you don't even try the solution, how you would know if that does not have potential? One. So it's like I think that there's a thing with Boo. People are like, "Oh, give me access," and it's just like, no, man. Like, I don't want people's opinions so far. I don't want people saying like, "Oh, this is good, this is bad," because if they start to say this, then my mind will be like, "Oh, so this was good."
Yeah,
I'll start to follow that. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe it's just me overthinking.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. You want to make it perfect for you. See how people react to it, and
if people don't like Boo, I'm okay with that. I think there's a different relationship from here. Like,
as long as it works for you, right? Because I mean, how many tools have created for people themselves, right? You don't think about anyone else. As long as it works for me, I'm more than happy. And if that happens, there's a lot of people that is gonna follow along, right? Because if you like it, a lot of people will like it as well. A lot of people will dislike it, but that's the way it is, right? So 50-50 all the time.
Exactly. I think that this is the issue, I think, with like products in general. Like, everyone wants they do like in one way that fits their necessity.
Yeah.
It's like I use Firefox, but I use Firefox because, well, I'm attached to Mozilla somehow. Like, I have this memory. People start to criticizing me for I use Firefox. had like, it was just like, sure, man. Like, so should I use Chrome, and you know, like, and then you guys are gonna be okay.
So you're happy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the other person wants me to use a tool that they want me to use because they believe that's the right tool. So
Yeah.
it's like it's just insanity at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's the world we live in. That's the way it is. So
No, one thing that I like about sorry for the one thing I like about Ghosty is like one thing that Misha did was like he wrote everything in Zig. And man, he didn't give a damn. Like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't care like if people were going to be like, oh why is he why this
why
and
not
every
Rust?
time yeah, people did question. And I think it's like man, he liked it more Zig. Like he does not need to give like a technical reason. Like I think one thing that he said I saw in podcast was like there's like languages are like different flavors like of ice cream. Sometimes you like more vanilla, sometimes you like more strawberry. And I like that mentality as well. It's like, yeah, I want to do I have to has no mouse. You don't like that? Dude, just use other stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm good with that. Like I'm gonna survive. And you don't like Rio? Man, go with Ghostty, go with like Apple Terminal. Like I'm good with that. Like like it's not an offense or anything.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I keep everything in my .files, because I could keep all of the stuff. Let me show you all of the stuff that I have here. I have a lot of stuff, man. But I could create repos out of these. I don't want to. You know why? Because I'm going to start getting a lot of issues, discussions. I don't want it,
Yeah.
out there for me. And I just modify them to my liking. If I want to change from CSH to Bash one day, I just do it. Nobody's going to say anything. And if
Yeah.
someone does, it's just like, hey, man, it's my .files. Just port
Yeah.
them and
Yeah.
put away.
Go live your life, Jen.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with you.
But yeah, I think you have to do it for yourself, and people is going to follow along. People with the same mentality will find it and say, oh, I really like this, it's really interesting, and they're gonna start
Yeah,
using it.
this a big surprises me about Hue because like when I started, it's um like it started and there are some people that stay there. They are still in the Discord active for 2 years. And man, frankly, when I started, he was so bad that I didn't understand like people were using. But now I think it's starting to become a really competitive editor, like Terminal, and has features that many people like. People write in the Reddit that they enjoy Rio and stuff like that. But when I started, it was not good, man. Like it was not a piece of software that I was proud of. And but they stayed, like I think that they maybe like it the way that I approach it, and
Mm-hmm.
and then they stay there, and then yeah, I don't know, always surprises me because like it kind of like they took you as like I don't know, like a toy project or extra project, and then they just stayed there for fun and then using the terminal. I think that is like a very touching, I would say.
Yep. Okay. And so you use Boo right now mainly to write Rust. What if you have to
Rust.
edit other type of files like a bash script? What do you use? Do you use Vim or do you still use Boo there?
Man, I actually, this is a good question. I have probably 6 or 7 editors where I change every day. So it's like I try to learn with a different editor. So it's like mostly I think that I have been using Zed, but I use Envy a lot when I'm in Linux. It's just Envy. I don't have energy to do other crap. So it's
Neovim?
like yeah, just when I know Linux, it's just Neovim. And but when I know Mac, I change a lot. Like I use Zed, Sublime, like I just don't use VS Code, but it's like it's not that I have anything against. Maybe I have something against VS Code. I don't know, but it's like, no, I think VS Code comes
You're
for great.
ashamed that people see you using VS Code. Is that it?
I don't even have it installed right now. I think I don't even have one here. Maybe I have it in the other computer, but it's like no. The thing is like I have problems with Electron apps. Like I think they were not tailored for that. But then in the same way, I think VS Code is such a great idea because like it takes the most popular language, JavaScript, and gives to this most popular language power enough to break through applications. So it's like this is a thing I have been thinking a lot about Boo because it's like I would love to have the VS Code plugins working Boo. So I have actually testing two Boo versions, one with the JS engine and also one without it. And I think I'll give you this officially so you download whatever suits you. But it's like I think it's like man, JavaScript has power. You know, like it's just people just love to write JavaScript for do dumb or good stuff. And I think it's like in some ways like it feels more as a scripting. I know it's crazy. I know this is crazy, but sometimes I feel that feels more as a scripting language than Lua. Not because like I dislike Lua. I think Lua is great and it's very intuitive. But it's just like every person knows JavaScript. Have you ever thought about it? Like it's not every programmer at some moment wrote a JavaScript line of code. Like even if it was to do something in the browser, like to do trigger alert. And I have to think a lot about it. Like, man, should I just do it? Should I just like do like a JavaScript like support for plugins in Boo officially?
And what's gonna happen? Because there's a lot of plugins in the VS Code ecosystem. Aren't you afraid of breaking changes, like breaking stuff in your editor?
Yeah, I think that this is actually what has been holding me. But I think like that's what I say. There's like I think that's great. Like because I think VS Code was needed for many people because people can just prototype stuff there. They can just create crazy stuff, and it's very quick to do anything.
Yeah,
but
and
in the same way,
like you said before, there's people that just want to open something, go through a marketplace, install what they need, and start working. You don't have a lot of flexibility. You can get started in 10 minutes. Neovim, on the other hand, not that simple. Yeah.
Exactly. But I wish there was something in the middle because I think that VS Code is it's just that they do come on, it's like a browser running there. So it's a lot of magic.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great piece of software. No, great piece of software. Maybe I'm not being honest, but it's I think it's a great product. Like it's not a great piece of software, but I think it's a great product. It's it makes people to get what they want very quick.
Yeah, makes sense. Yep. All right. And let's see, we've been here for 2.5 hours. I don't think we will have time to go through all the questions because what time? It's really late for you already, right? And
oh yeah.
Yep. Let's just talk here. We already talked Neovim. We already talked a lot about editors. Let's just talk operating systems, and we can wrap it up there, right? So, what's your? Yep.
Mine.
Yep.
Man, my favorite to me.
Yep.
Oh Jesus.
People is gonna pick sides, so be careful because you're gonna get the macOS guys upset or the Linux guys upset.
Okay, so if I say, I think like lately for Rio, I feel that I have been helping more the macOS side because I have been working more with macOS. But if I were talking about philosophy, I think I side more with Linux, and it's like I have more beliefs on that side. So either I don't know, just
50-50. Your
yeah, I
heart
would
is
say
divided.
yeah. I also have a heart for Windows, maybe 10% to 20%. Because like as I said, like man, I started to learn how to code through Windows. Like I didn't have money, and like, and when I was in Japan, everyone was using Windows there, like everyone.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it was just like it was not like 10 people, 40. It was like everyone was using, like every coder was using it, and it made me think like, yeah, man, like OSs are just like you get your job done whatever you use. So I have a lot of respect for all. I think I have a few problems like with each in different aspects. Like I think the Linux desktop needs to evolve a lot of stuff yet, and I think that like Mac, like I think I'm more use it because I have been using more professionally the past years. But I have a few problems, for example, with the way that they do things, Apple does things, and I think Windows. I have problems with the quality of the OS. Like I feel that sometimes people just break things, like, and we
The
are
blue
cool. Like
screen. The blue
yeah,
screen out of
exactly.
nowhere.
So I think that this is a thing for me that I don't like on Windows. But man, all the three they have like strong sides. You know what I mean? Like and if you have a machine that's very weak in terms of hardware, like Linux is so great there. Like it's like I have this machine here, and it's like I bought this secondhand. It's very old, and it's like I run Arc there, as people say Arc, by the way, and it's
But
just like
you
man,
but you have a kid, right?
yeah.
So you're not an Arch user because
No, I cannot be.
and
No, I think that the thing with Arc is like it took a time to get it up and running. But then man, Arc scripts, they're like once you get that Stalin Arc script right, then you're good. Like you don't need to worry more.
and why Mac though? Like why not Linux at this point in life, right? You seem more aligned with Linux, but
Yeah,
why are you using Mac? Like
I think I still because I don't know if you remember I used to work with design at some moment. So it's like I think at some moment I felt that the hardware for designing Mac OS was much better than in Linux. So it was just like it was not impossible to be a good designer on Linux. But for example, if I wanted to use like Retina or like all these, like displays that Mac does have, and a friend of mine was just like, yeah, sure, but you can run Linux on Mac hardware, and I was just like, man, this looks good, but I never did. I don't know why. So maybe at some moment I should just give it a try.
and in Mac, what um CPU are you using? Are you on Intel or the Apple
I
Silicon?
used Intel for a long time, but now I thank God that the ARM is like a new era, just like
And
because
and how do you feel about battery life, for example?
now it's not compared to Linux. It's no like Linux. Sometimes I leave the computer up and running for 3 days, and it's just like alive.
With the battery?
Yeah, and this guy here. It's just like it gets the job done. Like I wish that I was using this more, but I'm a lazy person, so sometimes I just open the computer that's in the main and then I keep holding it.
So you get 3 days of battery life on the Linux computer.
Yeah, my one, yeah.
What?
But I don't have much stuff on my Linux, to be honest. Just Rio,
Oh,
Rust, and Git.
oh, okay, okay, yeah, because that's a lot. That's a lot. I have used Intel-based machines. I used to have a laptop, and the battery didn't last not even 3 hours, right? So that's one of the reasons I think I'm still in Mac OS battery life, because this M1 computer's battery for me lasts a long time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's a big difference. I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, but this is one, man, my arc is, if you see, it's very simple. Probably, I think I barely have stuff from work. But yeah, I try to keep simple there.
Okay. Okay. Good to know. All right, Rafa. So, is there anything else you want to share before we wrap it up? Just remember to send me your links, the YouTube, GitHub, all that stuff, so I can put it in the video description. And yeah, anything you want to share, anything you want to, I don't know if there's someone watching still, but probably there's a couple guys from my Discord that are still watching. So anything you want to share?
I don't have anything that I want to share so far. I hope that I have something ready to share about Boo in the next months, but I don't have anything now.
Okay, wonderful. So anytime you want to join a call, just let me know. If you want to share stuff, let me know, and I'm more than glad to have you here. So
no, it was my pleasure. I appreciate the talk. It was good.
Yeah, thanks for your time. So I'll see you till the next time.
All right, see you, man.
Bye.